Matrix breakers are people of action. They are always living with their purpose, which requires them to be action oriented to accomplish tasks that bring them closer to their vision. Out of all the principles thus far, action is the most important, since without it, you will always be trapped in the matrix, even if you know everything about it and set sincere intentions of breaking it. In today's podcast, we will identify how you can make action steps easier and how to properly identify the three types of people there are in accordance to action. I will be once again referring to a book called Resolved by Orrin Woodward. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a rating and review. Feel free to share this with your family and friends. If you would like to support Matrix Breakers, you'll want to check out our ACT energy drink. Advanced Cellular Therapy is what ACT stands for. And ACT energy drinks balance a proprietary combination of highly effective all natural ingredients that work together on the cellular level. The result is a powerful mental and physical boost that you will start to feel working in minutes and last for hours. It comes in a powder and drink form. I prefer the powder canister because I mix it with other nutritional products. The supply lasts longer and it's only $44. I have been taking this daily for years now, and it has never stopped working. I rarely, if ever, feel tired after lunch like I used to. I have energy from waking up in the morning until I'm ready to sleep in the evening, usually around 10 p.m., which at that time, I use the Hemp FX Relax to begin to wind my body down for my much needed sleep. Once I take the Hemp FX, I'll begin to read a book until I no longer keep my eyes open. Now, for me, I am definitely what you would call an energy freak. I grew up, drinking Monsters and Red Bull as I would go to work or go to school. And as most of us know today, that is pure crap. I also was taking illegal pre-workout. I'm just kidding. I don't know if it was 100% illegal, but it was very sketchy. And it made me feel weird all day. I mean, if anybody has taken pre-workout, you know what I'm talking about. I think they illegally put a methamphetamine in this one. And I'm just telling you guys that it is not the healthiest. And plus, the pre-workout crashes that you get are like just awful. And in some cases, coffee just doesn't do it anymore. For a lot of us who do drink coffee every day, it doesn't work nearly as effectively. Now, I'll tell you about the coffee I drink that does tend to work every single day, but that'll be for a different podcast. Now, you can access exclusive discounts and support this podcast financially by purchasing ACT Energy through the following website, dylansuggs.youngevity.com. Trust me when I tell you that I refuse to promote stuff that is ineffective or purely crap. The Matrix is full of counterfeits and, frankly, substandard health products. The Matrix operates on a system of control, which applies to every facet of life, including the companies we choose to buy from. I'm a believer in the free market, and I believe that the greatest products deserve a fair share in the marketplace. By making a purchase with me, you are giving the greater products a chance to prove themselves to the market, which, when referring to these products in specific, I can assure you that they already exceeded expectation. Ask me why and how that's even possible through my email, and I'll gladly explain it in detail. To clarify, the website is dylonsuggesvity.com. When on the website, just search ACT and scroll through to find the canister version. The link should also be provided in the episode details just below the title. You will get access to 25% off by going to that site directly. Break through the matrix by investing in people and products that are tried and true. Your support not only helps yourself, but also helps fund my operations in the future. I'm committed to being completely self funded, and with your help, you make it all possible. Now, let's get rocking and rolling, you guys. It has been a couple weeks for those of you who've been paying attention, but I don't do crap. I put together good podcasts and I want it to be effective and I want you to actually enjoy it and get value from it. So, without further ado, I will be reading from Resolved. Planning without doing is ineffective, but so is doing without planning. To achieve success, one must plan the work before doing the work. For only then can you check the results and make needed adjustments. A plan is a way to test one's hypothesis, beliefs, or models against reality. Now, they say that your values are etched in stone and your plans are drawn in sand. And what that basically means is that plans do tend to change. One thing that I've done in my life is get a marker board. And I'll tell you that that marker board is extremely useful. When you just have ideas or something that you want to put on the board and you want to see throughout the day or in the mornings, whenever you're in your room, particularly, or on the refrigerator, whatever you prefer, that is a great way to act on your plans, just to have them hanging around in anywhere in your home. Now, of course, I was titling this entire podcast Action. But again, do you know people who take tons of action and then they don't seem to really get anywhere? They're almost like a hamster on a wheel, because there are tons of people who are very action oriented, but they don't have any means of planning. They have nothing that they can look back to and say, oh, wow, this is how far I've gotten. And this is where I need to go, or this is how not far I've gotten. This is how short I have come from what I have desired as a plan. So planning is very, very, very important. I know I wanted to start with that just to get into it. You have to plan before you do. One of the first steps to real change is to honestly evaluate where one needs improvement. This is not as easy as it sounds, because most people have fragile egos and would rather live with comfortable lies than uncomfortable truths. Indeed, this is why one's purpose and dreams are so vital. They drive a person to change even when it's not comfortable or easy. Ironically, every person misses the mark in many areas. Mastery is so difficult that no one is excellent in more than a few areas of life. Thus, instead of running from painful truth, people would be much better served by changing the truth. When the dream is big enough, the facts don't count. Or more accurately, the facts can be changed. Now, I want to refer back to this idea that people are only excellent in a few things. There's a saying that goes, jack of all trades, master of none. What that's referring to is people who try to get good at a lot of different things are never great at one thing. You know, you need to focus on what's right in front of you and start taking action. You know, you can sit in your circumstances and say to yourself that you are where you are because of this person or that circumstance or that situation. But in reality, take action right now on something that you can control. Now, this could be a number of different things. Let me tell you something. If you're healthy, you are blessed. You can pick up a book and read. You're not blind. You can hear an audible or this podcast, for example. This is a part of taking action, in my personal opinion, because based on what I can tell you in this podcast, you might leave this podcast and go and do something, right? Take that action. So if this is an inspiration for you, then this is a good action, right? Listening to this podcast. But you can do anything. You are in control of your life. And this is what this action step is all oriented to. Because matrix breakers understand that the matrix wants you dumb, stupid, and still. They don't want you moving. They want you Netflix and chill. Why do you think that's a saying anyway? Netflix and chill. Just relax. The entertainment is done for you. Everyone is working their butts off to entertain you. I work very much to entertain you at this time. And so I would hope that you're listening to this podcast maybe while working out. Maybe you're listening to this while working. That's awesome as well. Stay productive. But my thing is this. You need to break the matrix by breaking the stillness in your life, and get on a marker board or get on a journal and just write down a to-do list. In many ways, I would say a planning circumstance would definitely be considered an agenda. I know I've mentioned this before, but if you do not have a weekly agenda and a daily agenda, then you are lost in the sauce, as my brother would say. And you tend to get lost because through the week can start off good. And then all of a sudden, throughout the end of it, this happens to me all the time. Throughout the end of it, you're not accomplishing what you wanted. You're compromising. You're watching Netflix instead of doing what you should be doing. You're chilling out. You're playing games when you should be doing something else. You're on your phone too long. You're not putting your phone down. You're distracting yourself. And this is all just ways of staying comfortable and staying in the matrix. If you're just sitting on your phone, you can't even get to sleep at night. You're in the matrix. The matrix is all around you. This is the whole point. So that's just to drive that home. There is no better time than now to get started with a plan to improve. Remember, procrastination is the assassination of motivation. So quit procrastinating and start implementing. With a plan and willingness to work, I believe anyone can improve. Moreover, if it ties in with your passions, potential, and profits, like we've spoken about before with purpose, one can go from worst to first and fulfill one's purpose. There is no shame in not being good at something. The shame should be in remaining bad when one knows that his purpose depends upon improving in this area. Sadly, too many allow the fears of today to imprison them rather than permitting the faith in a better tomorrow to set them free. Now, that is very, very deep. If you guys got a sneak peek on my Instagram on this very day, I was so hyped up and full of energy this morning that I screamed into my Instagram that you're alive and that you need to get your shit together. Well, I really meant that for myself. We're alive. You're listening to this podcast. One way or another, you are listening to this podcast. And what that tells me is that you are alive and that you can do shit in your life and that you should get your shit together, right? And so that's why we're doing the podcast today. So my motivation to do the podcast was because I was yelling at myself and I was yelling into my Instagram story this morning, which was excellent. Okay, the best plans in the world are worthless unless people do them. If the road to hell is paved with good intentions, then hell has thickly paved roads. It's been said that the plans to fix the political mess in Washington, D.C. exist, but plans are worthless without someone willing to execute them. We'll talk about that another time. One of the books in the Bible is titled the Book of Acts. Notice that it isn't called the Book of Thoughts or the Book of Best Intentions, but the Book of Acts. Greatness begins when a person takes the planned step and has the courage to act on it. Just do it, as the Nike says. A person simply cannot improve his craft until it is performed correctly over and over, even if he has to make mistake after mistake for an extended period until he becomes good. There simply is no substitute for this. Any person who is unwilling to look bad will never become good. This isn't actually a failure. However, because what others call failure, a winner calls learning, an opportunity to make adjustments and improve. Now, if you've listened to all of my podcasts up to this point, then you definitely know that I've made improvements. You definitely know that I've made adjustments. I've made changes. I've made commitments. I've done different things. And with those adjustments have made my performance even better. Now, I am definitely attesting to this because I know 100% that the way I felt when recording my first podcast versus how I am feeling today, I can say for a fact that I feel incredibly different. And that only happened, as it said just now. I'm going to reread this one little part. There is simply no substitute for this. You cannot just wish this anxiety away from you before taking an action that you know you should take. You can't just wish it away. You can't get rid of it. You can't hack the system. You can't get easy or rich easy. You can't do this kind of stuff simply because it's not meant to be that way. You are made to go into the world and fail a couple times. You're made to take action and see what comes from it. Okay. True leaders are not people who coax or coerce people into doing something that they don't want to accomplish, for that would be manipulation. Rather, leadership is about inspiring people to perform the actions necessary to accomplish what they do want. Quit waiting for conditions to be right, for they rarely are. Quit waiting for others to lead, for they rarely do. Finally, quit waiting for inspiration and focus on perspiration. If you don't know what that means sweat. So that means work. So in other words, wait to feel before acting right. If you have a dream, then act on it, regardless of feelings. Shamefully, most people wait their whole life and accomplish little of substance. So, right here, of course, the author is referring to this entire idea of waiting to be perfect. Let me just plan it all out and just keep planning it all out and just keep reviewing the plans. It's ridiculous. It's this idea that, you don't have deadlines in your life or a schedule in your life. Why is it? Tell me this, guys. Why is it that people know when the Avengers movie is coming out and they already got tickets, but they don't even know when their big performance is? They haven't scheduled that in their calendar. Why is it that people know of every single 8 o'clock on Sunday or whatever it is, Game of Thrones episodes are on? Why is it that you make that your religion? Now, nothing against Game of Thrones. I've never watched it, but I'm sure it's good. It's just that, why don't you get HBO Go? I'm just kidding. The point is that you're spending hours entertaining yourself. You don't even have a schedule. I used to tell people this even in high school. I remember telling people this. I would say, you have a school schedule, right? They say, yeah. I said, you have a work schedule? In some cases. They said, yeah, I work. I said, what else do you got scheduled on your schedule? Oftentimes, they'd say nothing. And you know what that's replaced with? Spurs games. Entertainment. NBA. The NFL. Hollywood. TV shows. Netflix. You see, the entertainers of the world, they want your attention. Why is that? Because your attention is valuable to them. But yet your attention is not valuable to you. Why do they value your attention more than you value your attention? Why do they value your time more than you value your time? You see, one of the first steps to being great usually happens when people start to work out. Why is that? Because when you begin to work out, you realize you have to make time for the gym. You actually have to carve out time in your schedule. I know the busiest people who work out. I used to work at a gym in the Galleria in Houston, Texas. Shout out to 24-hour fitness members over there if you're listening. I used to work there, and people, I was relatively new, For 6 months I was there, I was still considered new. And they had me work late, right? Because no one else wanted to work late. They had me selling memberships until 11 p.m. But I can tell you what I did learn during that time is sometimes I'd be there till midnight. And you know what? There are people who had worked all day long and somehow they got in at 10, 11 o'clock at night. They got a workout in. And they're quiet to themselves. They walk in, they hit the gym, they're looking buff, they're looking lean, and they leave. And I noticed, I said, those are people that are taking that first step to success. Why is that? Because they're owning their time. Because they realized that even, and I'm not going to lie to you, I've met some pretty dumb people that are pretty fit. So some of the dumbest people I've met are like the most fit. It's just, I don't know, they're like machines sometimes. I'm not saying this for everybody. I'm just, you know who you are, you guys. I mean, honestly, like sometimes I'm like, man, your body says so much, but your mind is empty. And that's anyway, that's another point. But the point is that those same people are like one step away from success. They're already successful by getting their health together, getting their workout together. I can't even say that because some of them are taking steroids. Not most, some, few probably. But the point is that they're owning their time. So do you own your time? What do you have scheduled this week that's adding on to your life, that's lining you up with your purpose? So now let's continue. Let's get to this point of the book. This is the final part of the book that I'm going to read. It is the 3 different types of people in the world. There are quitters, campers, and climbers. Let us read. If success is open to all, then people would have to take responsibility for their lack of success. Stick that on your wall. Dr. Paul Stoltz described 3 types of people staring at the mountain of life: quitters, campers, and climbers. Even though every human being is born with the urge to climb, and there are billions of people in the world, the mountaintops remain practically empty. What happened to all of the mountain climbers? In a word, compromise. Most compromise their convictions for their conveniences, eschewing the pain of the climb, and become given ups instead of grown ups. Think about that. That's pretty deep. So these are the 3 types of people in the world. And I want you to identify yourself. I've been all 3, personally. Life's quitters see the mountains, jagged cliffs, threatening storms, and dangerous paths as risky and settle for safety. Quitters entertain themselves to death, escaping into drugs, sex, or other recreational time-consuming activities. They keep themselves busy doing nothing in order to avoid the mountain they no longer wish to climb. Nonetheless, they suffer a worse pain than the pain of climbing, the pain of regret, a life spent in service to self rather than others. If their conscience confronts them with the truth of their pitiable existence, they obfuscate the facts, attempting to justify the unjustifiable. Pointedly, they never gave life a chance. Fortunately, light can shine into darkness, and I have seen quitters start climbing and produce amazing results for themselves and their families. Now, maybe let's just not say this is you, but who in your life is a quitter? Who in your life is more concerned with Game of Thrones than their future? I'll sit there and I'll watch the Spurs lose recently. And, I get emotionally involved too. Not going to lie. But I saw people genuinely depressed that the Spurs lost in the first round of the playoffs against the Denver Nuggets. And that shit is concerning. Because people don't look at their own life. They just live life vicariously through other people. That's how these entertainers exist. That's the matrix in your life. The matrix in your life is the soft, subtle entertainment that seeps its way into your time and absorbs your soul through countless hours multiplied over days, multiplied over weeks, multiplied over months that become years. That's what the matrix is. It is this lack of action. That's why action is so important. Campers, on the other hand, start climbing the mountain by learning and growing. They are excited about opportunities on the mountainside and begin life's climb enthusiastically. However, at some point, through a combination of successes already achieved and the pain associated with further climbing, they cease the process, compromising their ideals for the comfort of camp. They may have a nice mountain view, but their best days are behind them because they surrendered their future significance for doing, quote, pretty good. Though the campers know the price of the climb, they no longer are willing to pay it. Many convince themselves that they are resting for a season, but few seem to ever climb again. Some of the most talented people with the most to contribute to others have settled for good and the comfort in camp rather than the power in purpose. Climbers are the last group. These are people who refuse to compromise their calling, deciding to press on in the PDCA process, which is the plan, do, and adjust. They enjoy the game of life and press on through the pain to see what the next turn in the mountain brings. They know they were called to climb the mountain and are willing to do the work to accomplish it. Climbers are a rare breed. They refuse to sacrifice their convictions for conveniences. For them, life isn't about obtaining the best camping spot or accumulating the most items in their tents. Life isn't graded upon possessions, but rather on purpose. It's about the climb. Climbers know that happiness is in fulfilling one's purpose, becoming who we were intended to be. Not everyone reaches the mountaintop, but everyone can reach their potential to serve others, and that is the true victory. A climber enjoys the climb up his mountain, and in the process, he conquers himself or herself. His climb leaves a path for others to follow in pursuit of their purpose. Moreover, he teaches other climbers the lessons he has learned climbing his mountain. Each person staring at the mountain is accountable for his personal climb. Will he or she quit, camp, or climb? That is the question I have for you today. You've heard the 5 principles. This is the 6th one out of 10. But you can see that action is the most important. You can have good character, a great purpose, a great vision, and have a desire for freedom. But without action, you are just like everybody else. You are just like everybody else. So, we're all suffering from being all 3, the quitters, the campers, and the climbers. I would say the climbers are probably the most preferable situation. But nonetheless, I am asking you to become a climber. That's what I want to do, and that's why I want to build this community of people that consider themselves matrix breakers, people who are actively taking action on those principles and values that they hold most dear. And they are actively taking action towards their purpose. So, thank you for tuning in. Share this with your friends and family. It means everything to me. It is the only way that I'm able to get anybody to listen to me. But I will improve. I will get better. And let me know what you really think about everything. And if you're listening this far, congratulations. Matrixbreakers@gmail, by the way. You can reach out to me there, and I'd love to respond to you. You can ask questions about this podcast. You can ask questions about future podcasts. I'm also going to be doing interviews with a handful of people. I will be contacting you shortly about that. Those of you, you may not even know who I want to interview, so don't think that I haven't reached out to you yet. I might reach out to you. So reach back out to me if you're genuinely interested. But I do make the final call, and I will see if I would like to put you on my podcast. You definitely have to embody these principles, but it's fair shake, right? So good luck on that one. And again, thank you for listening this entire time. You guys have a great, awesome rest of your day, week, and month, and year while we're at it. So peace.